Presented annually every year by the American Library Service to Children. It honors a person you probably know very well through the books you've read, Dr. Seuss. His name was Theodore Seuss Geisel, and the award, started in 2006, was intended to honor the most distinguished contribution to beginning readers that had been published in the United States in the preceding year. Dr. Seuss was fond of saying that children were just like everybody else. They wanted to laugh, they wanted to be delighted, and they wanted to be entertained. And that's what he hoped to do with his books. The year that Cat in the Hat was published, I was 7 years old, and I remember getting that book for Christmas one year. So I know you've read his books, and you love his books like I do. So let's talk more about the Geisel Award. Let's talk about criteria. That means what the books have to have or can't have to be eligible to win the Geisel Award. Now, when I first started on the committee, we were given lots of things to read. This is my Geisel notebook. You can tell there's a lot of pages in here, and it's all written in where I've taken my notes, and I've studied this and I've read a lot about what makes a great beginning chapter book, because that, after all, is the kind of book that we're looking for. A wonderful, distinguished, engaging, creative, shows imagination book that you, people who are beginning to be really good readers, would want to read, and what would encourage you to want to read. So those are the kind of books we're looking for. I want to talk again about that criteria a little bit. I'm going to have to put on my glasses to read my little print here in my notebook, but I wanted to talk to you about the list that we're looking for. A Geisel book has to be printed and written in the United States of America. The author and the illustrator also have to be either American or living in the United States. A Geisel Award book is distinguished. What do we mean by distinguished? Well, it means something about that book makes it special. It means that it is high quality. It means it has excellence or eminence. It provides a stimulating and successful reading experience. Have you ever read a book that when you finished it, you just thought, wow, that was a great book. That might have been the best book I ever read. Maybe you want to read it again. Well, that's what we're talking about when we say distinguished, that it means you had a successful reading experience. Have you ever read a book that you just thought, I'll never finish that book? That's probably not a great Geisel contender if that's the way you felt about it. What do we mean by creativity? Well, that means originality. It means the author and the illustrator used a lot of great imagination and were inventive in the way they made the book. One of the authors who has won a couple of times is Mo Willems. Do you know Mo Willems' work? Oh, I do. I love that Elephant and Piggy. And he certainly shows imagination and creativity in the way that Elephant and Piggy use those speech bubbles to talk to one another with, and the things that they come up with, the elephant throwing the ball and the piggy wanting to teach the elephant to dance. Those show great imagination. I've moved over a little bit, as you can see. I wanted you to see my bookcase where all the books I'm keeping that I've received from publishers until my term on the committee is over. You can see that my bookcase is overloaded. I've got a stack of books here. I've got books on the floor. I've outgrown the bookcase that I purchased for my Geisel committee. But that's okay, because when I'm done with my term on the committee, all of these wonderful books, and there's some really good ones over here, will go to my library at Wilson Elementary School, so my students will have an opportunity to see these books. We've talked about the criteria and what books have to have in order to become a Geisel Award winner. I wanted to show you 3 books that cannot win the Geisel. Sadly enough, it doesn't mean they're not great books, because they are. But remember, we talked about that a book had to be published in that year. It can't be an old book. This wonderful Hungry Hungry Sharks came to me in a box from a publisher, but it can't even be considered because the copyright date on this book is 1999. Now, this book is going to be a real popular book in my library. My kids like shark books, so we'll put it there. Another book that I received that can't be considered for the Geisel Award is this very popular Magic Tree House. This is number 41, Moonlight on the Magic Flute. But a book to win the Geisel Award has to be at least 24 pages long and not more than 96 pages long. This Magic Treehouse book is 105 pages long, so it cannot win the Geisel Award. The last book I wanted to show you that doesn't meet the criteria was published in 2009. It's a beginner reader from Scholastic. It's called Animals Around the World. This is going to be a very popular book in my library. It's written for beginner readers. It has rhyming words, repetitive. This is the grizzly bear. I'm big and strong with furry brown hair. I can run fast. I'm a grizzly bear. The reason this book cannot win the Geisel is because of the photographs. They're not original. The author did not go with his camera and take these photographs. They were purchased from